the Lifeguard stand tier list is finally here. Yeah, so this is a new kind of video. This is different from the whole podcast thing we've been doing. And I kind of alluded to this in the third episode, but yeah, now it's here. I've been saying I'm going to do this for like a month now. And yeah, now I'm just getting it out before the end of the season, honestly, because this is something I kind of want to do. So anyway, I want to set a few ground rules for this. Number one, it's called the Lifeguard stand tier list, but that includes everything in the rotation. So even though like first aid isn't necessarily a lifeguard stand, I'm still including it because this is my tier list and I can do what I want with it. We're judging these stands primarily on the experience you have when you're on that stand. So that includes basically everything, the position of the sun and whether or not you're in the shade, what rules people tend to break, and just random things like that. Just everything that goes on with that stand, we're ranking it based on that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. First first aid. Now, obviously, if you have any lick of common sense, first aid goes in S tier. I mean, you basically just get to do nothing. I mean, there's like a 1% chance that like someone might need a band-aid or something, or like you gotta go clean up some mess in the bathroom maybe, but that's pretty rare. This is basically just an excuse to sit around and do nothing, if we're being honest. So yeah, pretty goated stand. Not really a stand. But anyway, Leisure 1. Leisure 1, I'm going to say, is an A tier stand. That's because Leisure 1's usually pretty chill. You're pretty much always in the shade at Leisure 1. And there aren't too many rules that people break at Leisure 1. Like, sometimes people climb over the walls or they go backwards in the lazy river. But other than that, it's a pretty chill stand. You're just looking at the rock area, basically. And there's always just some families with kids. They're just sitting around doing whatever they do. I don't really know. So, pretty good stand. Next up, we got Leisure 2. Now, where do I want to put Leisure 2? Leisure 2, F tier. Spoiler alert, Leisure 2 is the worst stand out of all of them. Yeah, I know. Leisure 2 is absolute garbage because the sun's always shining on you like the entire time pretty much. And you got to like turn 180 degrees just to view your entire zone. And there's like a myriad of rules people can break. Like, where do I even get started? Like, climbing over walls, obviously, getting in and out of the pool when they're not supposed to, things to do with the whirlpool because you're kind of sort of responsible for that. Just a bunch of stuff, and it's really annoying. It's just the stands with the most responsibility, I'd say, and that really makes it not good. But also the sun thing, too. That really makes it a lot worse. Anyway, next up, we got Leisure 3. Now, where do I want to put Leisure 3? Thinking, put it in C tier. And the reason I do that is it's not nearly as bad as Leisure 2 in that your area isn't as big, but the problem with a Leisure 3 is that the sun's usually shining on you just like Leisure 2, and particularly during the 5 to 8 shift, the sun will be shining on the water, and you can't see like anything to the left of you. It's actually miserable. And yeah, that's one thing, and then pretty much just people breaking rules in the whirlpool and the lazy river and all that. That can be kind of annoying, but overall, I'd say it's a pretty alright stand. Like, meh, whatever. Next up, we got Leisure 4. Leisure 4 basically goes hand in hand with Leisure 3. I mean, it's pretty much the same package, except, sometimes you gotta whistle at people for doing dumb stuff on the slide or climbing over that wall in, like, the kiddie pool area with, like, the big play structure. You know what I'm talking about. And yeah, you might be inclined to put this in D tier if you were one of the unfortunate souls that had to stay here for 30 minutes, but I never had that experience, so for me, it's basically the same as Leisure 3. All right, and next up, we got Leisure Slide. Now, Leisure slide goes in A tier because it's a slide. You don't really got to do much. You basically just sit there and, someone comes up, you can go and then you just check swim bands and measure height and whatnot. But yeah, overall, pretty easy. Gives you time to think. Sometimes, like, some hooligans will come up and start doing annoying things, but that doesn't happen too often, I'd say. So, overall, pretty good stand. Next up, we got zero grade. Zero grade. Where do I want to put zero grade? We'll put zero grade in B tier. And the reason I do that is because zero grade's usually a pretty relaxing stand. It's usually always in the shade, like 99% of the time it's in the shade, I think. Yeah. The only thing with this stand, though, that makes it like worse than Leisure One, for example, is that you're gonna have people like covering up those, what do you call them? The spouts that like shoot out kind of by that area. So that can be kind of annoying to call that out, but other than that, it's usually just a bunch of like little kids and their families, so not really too much shenanigans going on there. So yeah, pretty alright stand. Next up we got baby pool. Baby pool goes into A tier, I'd say, because it's pretty relaxing, honestly. Like, you're just looking at some, kids doing some fun stuff. That's like all the stands, basically. But this stand, it's your entire own pool, basically. It's like your own turf. Like, you rule that area for 15 minutes. And, it's pretty relaxing. You're just sitting there. Some people might do some dumb stuff on the slide, or they might sit on the whale or something, and you got to walk up and say, hey, don't do that. That is kind of annoying. But overall, pretty good stand. You're always in the shade, too. Like, I've never not been in the shade at this stand. At least during, like, the usual hours, I'd say. Like, during the morning shifts, yeah, but the thing with that is you can move the umbrella. So, anyway, next up we got Comp 1. Comp 1 goes into C tier. And the reason I say that is because there's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff. I mean, the stand is pretty much always in the shade, so that's nice. People tend to break a lot of rules at this stand, though. Like, you're constantly whistling at people for hanging on the diving block or hanging on the lane lines or doing other dumb stuff in that area. Yeah, pretty much C tier. It's like, all right. Next up, we got Comp 2. Now, Comp 2 is kind of a weird one because we don't usually use Comp 2. I've only ever been on this stand like once, and we only use it during like swim meets and things. So, because we're judging this purely on the experience you get when you're on that stand, and that experience with this stand is only during swim meets, I'd say this is an A tier stand because, swim meets are always chill. Like, you're just looking at a bunch of people swimming that already know how to swim. They're professionals, basically. You don't really got to worry much. It's a pretty good stand. Next up, we got Comp 3. Comp 3 is D tier. The reason I put Comp 3 in D tier is there's just too much stuff going on, honestly. Like, you got people coming down the slide, people going off the diving board and going on the rock wall, and you're constantly whistling at people, one at a time on the rock wall. Don't do backflips on the diving board. You can't swim in the emergency lane. It's kind of annoying. I'd say in terms of the shade, the stand is kind of sometimes in the shade, but you can usually use your umbrella to kind of mitigate that. So I'd say it's pretty all right in that department. Comp 3 is also another one of those stands where if you were 15, you would just stay there twice. So that kind of sucked. That might kind of compel that decision too. All right. Last but certainly not least, we got Drop Slide. Drop Slide goes in A tier. The reason I put Drop Slide in A tier is because, it's a slide. We pretty much already went over this with the Leisure Slide. The only thing that's really different with this slide is that there tends to be more people that like to break rules on this slide. Like, some kids will try and like stay in the slide for as long as possible. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. But that can be kind of annoying sometimes, but overall, pretty much the same as Leisure Slide. You know what? We'll move Baby down to B tier. I don't think Baby is as good as these other stands. But overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with this tier list. So that's the completed Lifeguard stand tier list. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff if you feel like it. And peace out.